This is from Michael Jensen. Breath of the Wild has the strongest story of any Zelda game.
Nah, that's a hot take.
You think so?
That's an Eldin Hot, or it could be Gerudo Worm, but I feel like the best story, the strongest story of any Zelda game would be Skyward Sword.
I think so. I would also agree. It's not quite Eldin Hot. You're right. I think that it's probably. Why do I keep on wanting to call it Goron Spicy? What's wrong with me?
I don't
Gerudo
know,
Worm.
probably because we did have Goron Spicy in our last set. We should go back and look at our last qualifiers and actually make them solid qualifiers.
Okay, one more time. There's the RuPaul song. You know what though? I think that Breath of the Wild story is quite good. Like in its own merits. Like I think that Princess Zelda is quite good in this story. I like the champions. Maybe I'll retract what I said. I think that the character development in Breath of the Wild is quite good, and like there's a lot of really nice character moments. I do think as a continual story though, it's a little bit disjointed. It's a little bit. There's a lot of like plot holes for me. Like again, everybody hates when I say this, but I still have not found an acceptable answer to this. Like why didn't Calamity Ganon just take over the Divine Beast like a million years ago? His malice it grew when he was in prison. Like, okay, great. Like, I don't know, whatever. So I don't like that. It's like what were Zelda and Ganondorf doing for 100 years? Like what was she doing? Nobody really knows. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of things in the actual story itself that are kind of like, yeah.
I was trying to read like what Michael was trying to say as far as like the justification for this. He says it because it's one of the rare games where the player and the character are truly aligned in their goals. This gives the player complete freedom to pursue exploration as they wish without feeling that they are abandoning the main mission. But that's not what I consider as story.
No,
and I'm sorry if I'm not paraphrasing this correctly, Michael, but I feel like when you're talking about strongest story, I'm talking about like story-driven elements that are concise and told in a way where it makes total sense from front to end. And like Breath of the Wild, you can make sense of it along the way, but I don't think you should have to make sense of it. I think it should make sense. You know? Like, yeah. Did that make sense?
Yeah, like I feel like if you're playing a game and you have multiple questions about what you just saw, that can be interesting because you can delve deeper into it. But like when you have multiple like glaring plot holes like you do in Breath of the Wild, it's just kind of like, huh? And then when you look at the events of the actual game itself, it's like, what actually happens? Like I know that you take down the Divine Beast and you meet Sidon and you meet all the rest of the lot, but like in the current like timeline, like the current, like the present, that's the word I was looking for, the present, there's not a lot that actually happens. Like you basically just get the Divine Beast and go to Hyrule Castle. Tears of the Kingdom, for all its faults, that game I felt like had
current story happening.
Right, like things happen in actual time and whatever. Like if it were me, I would have actually set Breath of the Wild story 100 years ago, just like set it there. Because and you would have lost the new champions, but like you could have just introduced them in Tears of the Kingdom, and that would have been totally fine. I feel like so I would have actually introduced, like I would have just kept it to 100 years ago, and that would have been a more compelling plot. But yeah, I think that like I like the plot of Breath of the Wild for what it is, but I certainly wouldn't say that it's better than like. I mean, Skyward Sword has a fantastic plot. I think, again, very subjective, but like. I mean, even Ocarina of Time, I think, has a fantastic plot. And, you know, there's probably a few other games that I would probably rank personally above Breath of the Wild. Even A Link Between Worlds, I'd probably say, for me, I enjoyed the plot a little more because it had a cool, like, ending twist on it that I thought was good. So,
yeah. I don't know if we're like quite understanding where Michael is going with this, but for the statement itself, Breath of the Wild had the strongest story of any Zelda game. I just wouldn't. Yeah. I think that's a harder. It's very mid to me as far as all the other Zelda games with their story progression and the strength of their story.
Okay, so we've got Wow, we got a couple left, actually. We got a lot. Jeez, we got like a ton left, actually, so we better burn some rubber here.
Shoot.
Okay, so
it's a two-parter?
I don't know, maybe. We'll see. This is from Shakel. Princess Zelda in Twilight Princess is pointless. I'm gonna play the neutral.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna play. Let her cook. Let her cook. Okay, let's read some of what Princess Zelda's falls are in Twilight Princess, according to Shakel. So, honestly, to me, she's kind of just shoehorned into the story, and I feel like Link and Midna could have prevailed without her. Sure, she does save Midna after the Twilight Princess is ambushed by Zant, but she does ride Epona with Link and shoot arrows at Ganondorf like a boss in the endgame. But the character falls flat to me. I don't really disagree.
Yeah, I get it. And, like, I do really like this iteration of Zelda in terms of, like, how she looks.
Yeah.
How she, like, tried to make the best decision for her kingdom. You know, Zant the Usurper came in and threatened everybody, and she's like, the only thing I could do now is just become his prisoner and let him do what he needs to. I think that there is some point to her, so I would go close to the Gerudo Hot, because like she urges Midna to take action, and then she does save Midna with her own basic energy and stuff, and she does have a cool point at the end. But like otherwise, like the story isn't about Zelda as much as it has been in other games. It's about Midna. So like she doesn't have a lot of point, and they could have taken her out, I think.
I think that if you did not include Princess Zelda in Twilight Princess, nothing would change. Like realistically speaking, she's not a love interest. She's not a damsel in distress. She's very much like a periphery character. Like basically a slightly more expanded role than she had in Majora's Mask, which was basically nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't disagree with that. Like, I don't think the story is worse because Princess Zelda is there necessarily. Like, although I do sometimes think that it's a little bit goofy that she shows up at the end under Ganon's control after, like, she sacrificed her life or whatever for Midna. Yeah. But, like, and I think people will point to, like, well, if she hadn't have done that, then Midna wouldn't have changed and wouldn't have, had underwent her character arc, and I think she still would have anyways, just by virtue of just being with Link and seeing his heroic and selfless deeds. I think that's a perfectly acceptable tale to me. Let Shakel cook. I don't think she's wrong.
I don't think she's wrong either. I feel like, I don't know. I do wonder, like, if you took Zelda out of this, like, you probably could have found alternatives to what Zelda does in this story.
All right.
I do like how she looks, though. She looks awesome in this game.
She looks cool. Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the few characters that do in Twilight Princess. Okay, you ready for this? The Wind Waker's Triforce Shard Quest is all about enjoying the adventure, not getting irritated by the grind. This is from the Eternal Optimist, Kristen Rosario. I think I'm almost ready to play it if you are.
What are you going to play?
Think? You know what I'm going to play.
I was thinking maybe Gerudo Worm. You're going Eldin Hot?
Yeah, you know what? I do. I think I have to. I think I have to. You don't think so?
I don't think it's quite that extreme, because I get where Kristen is coming from. I understand. I just personally feel, and I feel like a lot of people feel this way, that once you reach the Triforce fetch quest, you're kind of done with the game. You kind of already done a lot of exploring. You kind of are ready to go win the game. But now all of a sudden you've done all these dungeons and you're ready to go, but now you have to go put the Triforce pieces together. And if you're doing it in the GameCube version, it is horrendous. If you're doing it in the HD version, it's better. And there is quick, efficient ways of doing it, but that doesn't mean everybody knows how to do that, etc. So I would say it's warm. Like, if people want to continue playing at this point, cool. But I don't think it's quite as hot as, like, everybody hates this part of the game.
I don't think you've sold me. I think I have to play it.
Okay.
I think I have to. Here we go. One more time. Listen. This is, I I appreciate the sentiment here. I do, and I can hear people already saying to me right now, "Oh, Andy, you like Metroid Prime, and you have to go hunt all the artifacts right before the end of the game. How is this any different?" Let me tell you how I believe that it's different. I think that this was so tedious in the original version, and I think that because what you had to go buy the chart, you had to find the charts, you had to translate them, which cost you a ton of money, which you might not have, and then you had to go and find the actual Triforce shards themselves. So I have that sequence of events right.
Say it again.
So you have to find the treasure maps, you have to translate them from Tingle, and then you have to actually find the Triforce. That's right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very involved process, and you don't really get any hints like you do in Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime will tell you exactly what room, or it'll give you a clue what room, where to look for these artifacts. This is just like, this is just a grind. Like, it really is, and it's much more involved than Metroid Prime. And I think that by virtue that, like, Nintendo went out of their way to fix this as much as they did in the HD version kind of tells you all you need to know about how a lot of people view the Triforce quest in Wind Waker. Listen, I get it. I totally get it. Like, but I think you also have to say to yourself, like, okay, if I can explore Breath of the Wild's Hyrule for 100 hours, never get bored, never complain, nothing. I'm in love with this world, and I could just go and enjoy the scenery. But I hate taking 2-3 hours in the Wind Waker to go and find the Triforce. Maybe that just tells you that your overworld is not very engaging, and that your method of transportation is not that efficient, and that you're kind of sick of sailing and looking at the blue ocean for like as long as you do. And I like Wind Waker a lot. That's my opinion of why I'm kind of like, yeah, this is Eldin Hot.
Okay. I think I could lean more into Eldin Hot too, because this is what Kristen is trying to say. Before anything crazy happens, as you approach conclusion of the main story, Wind Waker wants to give you the opportunity to see everything the Great Sea has to offer, which is fair, but and like, I think that's fair. However, they make it mandatory. So, like in Breath of the Wild, you don't have to go look for every single Korok, but the purpose of the Korok seeds is so that you will go explore Hyrule to its like almost completion, basically.
Yeah.
And it's optional. It's not part of the main story. Like, you have to go collect 900 Koroks before you can get to Ganon at the end. Yeah. So I would lean more into Eldin Hot, because I do, like, I agree with what Kristen's trying to say, but I don't think it gets there because it's mandatory.
I just don't think I agree with it. Let me ask you a question. You're more well-versed in Wind Waker than I am. Like, how many, in the base game, how many pieces of the Triforce can you get before you start this quest?
You know what? I have no idea. I actually don't know. I don't think I get a lot of pieces, because I've speedrun this game quite a bit, and like, it's pretty close to the end where you can only, like, where you can get things. So I don't really remember, to be honest.
One last kind of defense I'll give Metroid Prime is that at pretty much the beginning of the game, you get the hints as to where all of the artifacts are. So you can collect them as you go. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in Wind Waker, you do not, and you get them at the tail end of the game. And I saw our pal Rodrigo compare the Triforce quest to Metroid Prime 2 in getting artifacts, which is much more of a pain in the butt. And I think that's actually a fair comparison. I would tend to agree with that. And that's the worst part of that game. So like I think that it's not great. Okay. Here we go. You ready? This is from Rod Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd, this goes out to you. Ballad of the Goddess is a bad song. Hold on, Al. Don't say anything. I've got the perfect sound for us here. Let's go. Holy moly, that's a bad take. Jeez Louise.
My god, Andy.
This song is awesome. And I know music is subjective and what I said about country music or whatever, but like, come on, give your head a shake. If you hear the Ballad of the Goddess and you don't get like a little bit excited, you might not have a pulse. You might not. You might be cold-blooded. You might be an amphibian. Amphibian? Is that the right word?
I don't know, but I'm trying to read Rod's justification. It's like, no amount of bombast and bigness can save a deficient melody. Oh, dang. Like, this is hardcore down here.
My man hates Skyward Sword so much that he's coming out here and he's trying to tell us that Ballad of the Goddess, one of the most celebrated songs in this Zelda business.
Winner of Musical March Madness, what, 3 years ago now?
Yes. Ay. Give your head a shake.
It's the sonic equivalent of a drunk man stumbling after each and every step. What the heck, Rod?
This is bad. This is real bad. I don't know what to say. I would expect this kind of malfeasance out of, like, Corey Richmond. I don't know if I was expecting this out of Rod Lloyd.
I don't know, Rod.
I told him I was going to roast him, too. I was like, dude, what? Let's move on. Let's go to the next one.
We gotta go to the next one.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.